Have you ever wondered what the Bible even means? Have you ever tried to research it or try to get more information, but the answers that you get just didn't really make that much sense? And I think maybe it's because the people explaining them have no real context as to what's actually going on in today's day and age in a way that can actually relate to you, to me, and our day-to-day lives in the 21st century. I've been reading the Bible my whole life, and I really started maybe kind of starting to slightly understand it now. But that understanding didn't come from listening to other people's perspectives and objections and opinions and perspectives about the Bible. It came from my own. It came from going deep within and reading what the words actually meant. Funny enough, I've been a Christian in my entire life, but my faith actually grew when I stepped away from the faith. When I stepped away from the faith and went on my own journey, thinking that I could lean on my own understanding. And yeah, that did not turn out the way I wanted it to. But what happened is it brought me back stronger. It brought me back strong with a different level of understanding. So when I read these now, I can sometimes I try to research it, just to preface that and go back to what I was saying. It's not something I can actively practice in my day-to-day life. So I started wondering, where can I go to kind of seek this? So what happened is I started having conversations with people. We started discussing the Bible and discussing what the words meant. And I think through that, we're able to shed some light on our understanding of it, because this right here is the most important thing that you'll ever need. And if you don't think so, then you don't have a deep enough understanding of what you're doing in this world. You don't. You still have a long way to go. Just for context, this has been written over 1,000 years ago. There's been some slight changes, but the core foundation has been the same. This is the first book. This is literally the first book ever. So to say that there's not some wisdom, some knowledge in this, you're just crazy. You just lost your mind. You shouldn't even be here. You should not, just don't even want this. But one of the verses that really got to me, and I wrote the title here, so you probably would know what it's called. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be reading verses that I find interesting and just explaining them, and maybe shed some light on a few of the confusions, and maybe shed my perspective as well on these, and also keeps me accountable. So why are we here today? We're here today because of Proverbs 3:5. Let's go 5 to 6. So it basically says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways know him, and he will make your path straight. And that's verse 6. But let me read verse 5 again. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. So what does that mean? To trust in the Lord in all your heart. Well, I guess the biggest question is, what does trust mean? And if you research this, in Greek, is really rooted from the word fides, which means confidence. When you trust something, it's not blind faith, it's confidence, conviction. That's what my understanding of what trust is. So when it goes back and it says trust in the Lord, it's not close your eyes and wish and pray. It's not close your eyes and hope and cross your fingers. It's not that. It's have confidence. It's having the reliability that something's going to take care of itself. Knowing that something is reliable. Let me give you a quick explanation. Let's say you have a friend that's always there for you no matter what. This friend has been always there for you, through the good, through the bad, through the thick and the thin. Whenever you call, they answer. Always. If a scenario came where you needed assistance, who would you call? Them. Why? Is it just hope? No. It's confidence. This is the person that's here for you. So when it says here, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Yes, there's a little bit of hope, but it's mostly just having the confidence that he is there for you. And do not rely on your own understanding. So you have to trust and have the confidence that you're understanding to the reality that you want. That's what I understood by this. And the reason this hit me so hard, to be honest with you, it's because I've spent a lot of my life leaning on my own understanding, especially when you're looking to be an entrepreneur and really building something big or doing something that's beyond yourself. You tend to think that, okay, well, I have to have everything figured out. Everybody at a stage in their life, especially in the younger stage, they need to have life and everything figured out. So what do? We try to do? We try to plan. We try to plan our lives. We try to plan the future. We try to plan our days. We try to plan everything. I'm not saying that's bad. Let me get there. We try to plan every single waking moment of our lives to try to have a sense of control over it. And then what happens when we do that is, because we don't have the context in which to actually control reality, because we only perceive such a small percentage of it, when things don't go our way, what happens? We are disappointed. We are upset. We are stressed. Have you ever been in a scenario where you planned something, you got what you wanted, then you realize you never actually wanted that? Or it wasn't like you imagined it to be? Why? You trusted on your own understanding. You tried your best. You wanted it to happen, but then when it came, you're like, I don't want this anymore. Or you beg, or you pray, and you fast, and you work hard to get a job that you've always wanted, but then you get the job, and you're like, this is not what it's cut out to be. That is us leaning on our own understanding, thinking that we must have everything figured out. And what we're doing essentially is we're putting a weight, we're putting a burden on our shoulders, a burden that's heavier than us, because we can't physically have direct control over everything around us. But because we add that pressure on ourselves, or giving ourselves undue pressure to perform, to act, to do all these things, and then to plan, and then when these things don't go our way, we suffer internally for it. That's no way to live. And this is how I was living. So when I came, and my father came to me and said, George, I want you to read something for me. And I read that, and that was Proverbs 3:5. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So what that is essentially saying, from my understanding, is that the burden that I've put on controlling the outcome is actually not my burden to carry. Somebody has chosen to carry that. Something has chosen to carry that burden for me, so I don't have to, because it understands that I can't control everything, but something can. Someone can. Look around you. If you don't tell me that there's a creator, you are surely mistaken. If you can look around you right now and you can't see proof everywhere that something created all of this, that all of this was by design, you have lost your marbles. But for those who haven't lost their marbles and they're with me, thank you. It wasn't our burden to carry. The person, the thing, the power that created everything is telling us here to let him also take care of everything. Let it also take care of everything. As human beings, we try to have so much control over our surroundings, try to have control over everything, but all that does is give us less control and more stress. All for what? Have you ever been in a situation where you left things as they were, and it just kind of figures itself out when you leave it alone? Whether you had your input or not, things just tend to figure themselves out. Why? Because we're not leaning on our own understanding. You're not meant to fully understand everything. You're meant to set an intention that you believe is going to be a worthy goal or a worthy path. Work towards it and trust that it'll be taken care of. That's it. So when you have a plan ahead of you, when you have a goal, when you have a task to do, don't think about it's going to get done. When you have a task to do, don't over plan and stress yourself out about how perfect it needs to be. You can't control how perfect it is. You can't. You can control it getting done. You can control how the effort that you put into it. You can't control what the outcome of the effort will be. You got to trust. When you're studying for that exam and you want to get a 99, you want to get 100, you want to pass so bad, but you can't control the grade. You can control you studying. You can't control how it's going to get marked. You have to trust. When you have a big game, a big basketball game coming, and this is one of the most important games of your career, you can't control how the other team is playing. All you can do is control how you play, how you prepare, and how you train. The rest you gotta be able to trust. We try to control the entire field. All we can do is control ours, our inputs, what we sow. That's all we can control. We don't have to understand anything else, because all we have to do is trust. That's been my understanding of what Proverbs 3:5 is. So if you've ever wondered what Proverbs or what these things are even saying. Right? Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. Hopefully that gives you some context as to what that even means. If you would like more of this specific verse, just put them in the comment. You don't even have to like it, you don't even have to subscribe. You're probably never going to see me again. Wish you all the best. But I hope you got a little bit of understanding, even if it's 1% clarity as to what it is talking about. That's what I want to do here. But if you have a specific verse that you've kind of been battling with, or you heard and no one's ever really just explained it in a way that makes sense, put it in a comment. I'd be more than happy. There's some verses I've never seen before. Let me be honest with you. So let's go through this journey together. We may not fully understand. All you can do is try and leave the rest. All you can do is try and just trust.